there! Have you subscribed to our channel yet? Invite your friends and search for CSLGH.
everybody. Welcome to Wednesday night discussion, Science of Mind discussion. For those of you who have decided to just stay home tonight and be in the air conditioning at home, it's like a meat locker in here. I want you to know. We could loan it out for a meat locker, as my friend Rich Smiley used to say all the time. We want to welcome you. We are here, and come on in, come on in. We are here. My cohort for the evening is Mirna Morales. She is a practitioner here at the center, and she is co-teaching with me. We expected that Reverend Nancy would be back on the 9th of September, but she came back early and she got a night off. So here we are. Welcome, everybody, and welcome those in person. And Mirna, if you wouldn't mind lighting the flames for me, that would be really wonderful. And our call to service at Granada Hills CSL in the North San Fernando Valley on Chatsworth Street is called Lighting the Flames of Faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from that one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here tonight. As Mirna, almost Reverend Mirna, lights the first candle, it is for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium. For all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. The seventh candle we light for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light the 10th candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit, and for the space we hold for them at our center and in our hearts. And as Mirna lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God.
Prayer. I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath if it's comfortable for you. So God is all there is. God is life, love. God is abundance. God is wholeness and the perfection of everything that is unfolding within and without. I give thanks for this moment. I give thanks for the divine unfoldment of this meeting, this class, this space of surrendering to the divine, surrendering to that space within that is the perfection that God is in everything that I am and everything that shows up. Knowing that this service is unfolding perfectly, that there is always this light within that is just shining right through Reverend Maureen, right through the center, right through each one of us here, that the right questions are perfectly answered, that every space is a divine surrender into the absolute perfection of being in every aspect of life. The healing, the abundance, the prosperity, it's always, always present. And so with deep gratitude, I release my word, knowing that this service is unfolding in divine perfection. And I invite you to say with me, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
Lisa's is here too. Nancy, could you find a box of Kleenex somewhere?
Sure.
Thank you.
And I was gonna bring this chair over.
Yes,
Yeah, so
come in
let's,
closer, Moises.
And then, and maybe I can go, you can come on this side and I can go on that side.
Let me help you. I got it. I got it. It goes this
Thank
side.
you. Okay, and I'll go get my box. Yeah, and I can come and join.
This is the handout for tonight, so if you wouldn't mind, thank you.
Should I use one from here or?
Sure.
Okay.
He's my Vanna White tonight.
Do a good fan
Mirna's going to share some announcements with us.
Where do you want it for you?
Yeah, please, thanks.
I have one.
Thank you.
How are you, Beverly? Nice to see you.
Announcements for today, Wednesday, August 26, 2026. 2026, huh? Practitioners are available today in the treatment room for a complimentary 2-minute affirmative prayer. If you're a licensed practitioner, please raise your hand. You can find a practitioner online at cslgh.org. We have reopened the Raise the Roof fundraiser. We are thankful to all who have participated, and we thank those in advance who wish to donate now as we seek additional funds to complete a more extensive roof repair. Please assist us with getting the roof funds allocated correctly. For office clarity, please label and make donations for the roof separate from Sunday donations or for Wednesday donations. For those interested, you can see the fundraiser on our Facebook page. Next Wednesday, September 2nd at 7 p.m., the Science of Mind discussion group will take place. Join Dr. Maureen Hoyt and welcome Reverend Nancy Woods back into town. Together, they will lead an open forum discussion, complete with readings, questions, and answers. On Sunday, October 17th at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., the annual Granada Hill Street Fair will take place. The center will have a booth out on Chatsworth Street, as we do each year. There is an early bird volunteer sign-up sheet that is posted in the Sparks Hall. Come offer your time at the booth while we make new community friends and share the blessings of our center. The gratitude box? That's it? Okay.
And today at Sangha, we ended up with 4 little, crates or 4 little things of sweets, like chocolate chip cookies, and I don't think those wait till Sunday, so if anybody wants some of those, please take them home. I'll put them out.
Thanks. Thank you, Nancy. I saw the message from Danny to look in the fridge tonight if anyone needed a snack.
I'll try and
So,
get it, actually.
all right, that would be beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mirna. Thank you. And welcome, everybody. I'm glad you came. It's a nice air-conditioned place to be. Yes, it is. It is. Because I can't find the copy of Living the Science of Mind that belongs to me that's in one of those boxes in there, I decided to try and find something from The Essential Ernest Holmes, which is a study of Ernest with Reverend Jesse Jennings doing the narrative in the book. He is probably one of my favorite ministers. You don't see him in the pulpit, but he's a prolific writer, and he contributes to the Science of Mind magazine on a regular basis. And he's on the retired ministers mentorship program as well. So he's a great person, and I think he's been around long enough that he can, Ernest doesn't need all that much interpreting, but his way of speaking to the essential Ernest Holmes is a lot more, let me see, a lot more clearly spoken in today's language rather than when it was written in 1954 or 1940 or 1919 when Ernest wrote his first book. So I just want to introduce Mirna again. Mirna is a practitioner here at the center, and we welcome her tonight filling in for Reverend Nancy.
Thank you.
She's getting her trial by fire, just like everybody else is. Nancy will be back next week with me. So as we do every Wednesday night, we take the reading and we start, the handheld microphone is there. For for those people who are online listening on live stream, please do use the microphone when you have a question or a comment to make, because they hear that and then they understand the responses, and it works out a lot better. So if you don't want to read, you don't have to read, but you have the paper in front of you, and we'll start on the end with Scott and go around and take a paragraph each, and we come around again once we reach the end of it. Now, this isn't the end of the piece in the book. This is, let me just tell people so they know, this is from page 146, 147, and it's in the beginning part of it is part of the poem, the epic poem that Ernest Holmes wrote that speaks to the relationship with Arjuna and the relationship with, oh, I can't remember the second person he talks about in that part of the poem. But if you've never read it, it's almost like he plagiarized the Bhagavad Gita in his own words, in his own words. It's quite lovely. My friend Dave DeLuca, who was a student in the Vedic tradition, he said, I can't believe what he did here. He said he blended it perfectly with the Bhagavad Gita in Science of Mind languaging that everybody could understand. Okay, start. There you go.
I'll take it away.
Take it away.
In mental treatment, we should feel as though the whole power of the universe were running through the words we speak. The words must become spirit and life if they are to overshadow the thoughts and actions that have brought about a discordant condition. As much conviction as we have, that we may use.
You could do the next one as well.
Goody. Thank you.
Some of them are long or shorter.
Healing is not creating a perfect idea or a perfect body. It is revealing an idea which is already perfect. Healing is not a process. It is a revelation through the thought of the practitioner to the thought of the patient.
Okay.
For instance, suppose we have received a request for help for a physical condition. Immediately we take the name of the person in consciousness. As every man maintains his identity in universal mind, just as he maintains it in the physical world, and we declare the truth about that man, the truth about the spiritual man, and we know that the truth about spiritual man is the truth about about that man's condition right now. First, recognition. Second, unification. We continue to do this until something comes into our consciousness which says, yes, we know the work has been accomplished. This is the third step, realization. This is what a treatment is.
It is the practitioner's business to uncover God,
I think that's a typo. That's okay.
to uncover
God is every man.
God is every man. God is not sick. God is not poor. God is not unhappy. God is never afraid. God is never confused. God is never out of his place. The premise, thank you. I can't quite see it. The premise upon which all mental work is based on perfect God, or is perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. Never say, I am not. I guess I can't quite see it. I am not sure that I have enough power to treat. You can never heal with the mental attitude, with this mental attitude. Here, I'll let you read it.
I was going to give you my glasses.
Oh, may I? Yeah. Thank you. 1 minute. Thank you. For that implies, do you want me to do it again? No. Okay. Never say, I am not sure that I have enough power to treat. You can never heal with this mental attitude, for that implies that you think you are doing the healing.
Yes. Thanks for sharing glasses here.
These next passages reinforce the point that treatment is done within the mind of the practitioner, expressed silently or verbally. It's not something done to the person requesting it. Treatment is the act, the art, and the science of inducing thought within the mentality of the one treating, which thought shall perceive that the body of the patient is a divine, spiritual, and perfect idea. As a result of this treatment, subjective mind, which is universal and omnipresent, accepts the images of the practitioner's thinking and reflects them in the direction he specifies to his patient.
I'm going to respectfully change his to her.
Okay.
Today happens to be the day that in 1973, the 19th Amendment was passed, giving women equal rights to men.
Thank you for that bit of information.
I
think it's wonderful.
I think it's wonderful, too,
Yes.
and amazing that it happened in 1973.
Yes.
A practitioner should think of her patient as a perfect entity living in a perfect universe, surrounded by perfect situations and governed by perfect law. In the silence of your consciousness alone, with the great reality, you balance the account. Not in the other person's mind to see whether she should be an alcoholic or a consumptive, but in your mind to see whether or not you have true love and givingness, and more conviction to bring to bear, not to influence the law, but to be operated upon by the law with a mathematical and mechanical certainty at the level of your conviction. If you cannot depend upon the law with mathematical and mechanical certainty, then you have to wait for the moment of inspiration.
The practitioner loves his patient back into his own center. With technical knowledge of practice, he removes the blocks which obstruct the passage of spirit in the patient's experience. He does not establish the patient in truth, in God, or in life. He merely takes him by the mental hand and leads him back into himself. His entire effort, whether it be audible explanation or silent practice, is to establish the patient in his own spiritual center.
All right, I'll read the last part. Spiritual mind practice is a combination of mental technique and spiritual consciousness, which establishes a faith and a conviction in the reality of good. The practitioner should never condemn his patient or say, "You are suffering because you have done this or that or something else." Unless the practitioner can rise above both the mistake and its consequence, he will heal neither. He cannot rise above the mistake while he attaches it to his patient any more than he could rise above a mistake in his own personal life if he attaches it to his own spirit. So interesting, Ernest Holmes always referred to his clients as patients, and that's kind of been taken out of context over the years, because when I was taught in practitioner training that we referred to them as our client, because the implication with the word patient is there's something wrong with them. And a couple of other things. When Ernest Holmes was coming up, the word empathy had not been created yet. So he uses the word sympathy throughout the Science of Mind and throughout actually the essential Ernest Holmes comes a lot from the books that he wrote. It's a conglomeration of the books that he wrote. So I had quite a, let me just put it this way, contentious discussion with a friend of mine, a minister friend of mine, about using the word sympathy. When you're speaking to, we have sympathy perhaps when a loved one dies, we receive sympathetic overtures from someone. That's sort of a kindness thing. But when we foist sympathy on someone, the equation or a synonym for sympathy is pity. And I cannot look at Mirna, if she's my client coming to me, through pity. I have to come to the compassion part of myself. And as you hear me talk about COD all the time, that's my acronym for being a practitioner. Consciousness on demand, that's the COD, and compassion, objectivity, and detachment. That is the three things that must be in the practitioner's mind. So when we are doing treatment for ourselves, that's the same effort expended. Consciousness on demand and compassion, objectivity, and detachment. We have no personal responsibility for the outcome, according to Ernest Holmes. And sometimes you haven't lived until you have someone come into your office and sit down in front of you and say, "I'm moving my license to another church. You're a terrible minister. I didn't get what I asked you to treat for." Oh, really? So now you have a wonderful teaching moment, even though you want to rip his lips off, you know. You have a wonderful teaching moment. And so when we do practitioner training at Granada Hills CSL, like they do almost in all practitioner training, we do dyad work with the prospective practitioners, and they learn how to speak to the client. And we always use the first person, I, me, my, because the subconscious mind doesn't hear you. I don't have to listen to what Mirna is saying to me if she uses the second person because she's talking to Scott sitting next to me. So, and they've done tests on this with public speakers who frequently get in the mode of preaching and saying, you do this, you do that. If you, or you should do this, you should do that, and people zone out. They zone out. So, practitioner speaking in the first person, personal, positive, precise, and present. The 4 Ps in spiritual mind treatment. And know that for yourself. And that's part of that great book by John Waterhouse. The 5, what is it? Oh gosh, 5 Steps to Freedom is what the book is called. Wonderful book on how to do spiritual mind treatment. I gave it to my friend, Father Joe Sherbo, quite a few years ago, and he, as a Catholic priest, does the best spiritual mind treatment you have ever heard in your life. Yes. So, what do you think about all of this? What do you think about it? Save for the gender specificity, in mental treatment, we should feel as though the whole power of the universe were running through the words we speak. I love it. Use the microphone. You can still say I love it so the others can hear. That's what you said, yeah.
I love that statement.
Yes. And what moves you?
Just the imagery of the whole universe moving through me. And I mean, it's like humbling, it's empowering, it's, wow, just thinking about the energy of that. And when I think of the universe, I think of light. So the energy and the light moving through me. And if I contemplate that and embrace that, and pass, like that moving through me and sending that out to others, I mean, that idea is like, wow.
Yeah. Quite amazing, huh?
Yes.
Quite amazing.
I think this is one of the best summaries of treatment that I've ever read.
The whole book is just stunning,
Right.
as far as I'm concerned.
I think I really appreciate this, and I'm going to read it a couple times because I do treatment every morning. And anyway, and I won't go on about that. But okay, so he's saying we. Isn't we? Can we be as powerful as I?
We is when you're involved in perhaps doing a treatment before a group of people. The first person singular might. Someone accused Dr. Tom Johnson one day of being egotistical because he always used I through his whole talks. But he also used the first person in his treatment work. And he was trained by Raymond Charles Barker in New York. And this is the way he was taught. And Raymond Charles Barker was taught by Ernest Holmes, first person in treatment. But when you're speaking before a group of people, represents inclusivity. And I think that sometimes, until a person gets a few years into the teaching, they don't quite understand why we're saying I. But when I send a treatment to somebody in writing, I do the first person on their behalf, and then they can do it for themselves every day by reading that treatment. And it's just as effective as having someone say the treatment to that person, because they're then working on their own behalf.
Right, and I know Kathy Lyons, when she's doing her treatment, she says, I speak my word in the first person for everybody here.
Yes,
Here.
yes.
And then it's kind of a confusing thing for, I would say, the culture that we live in. And so is the word that we use in religious science sometimes, race consciousness. And I feel like that that it's human race consciousness, it's not racial consciousness.
That's exactly right.
And I feel
Somebody
like
left the church because of
I
a
think
talk
it should
that
be
Reverend Mike
explained,
gave
yeah.
about race consciousness.
Right,
Because he thought it was directed
right. And that, I think we
directed
should
to
be,
him, apparently.
we should be clear about when we
Yeah.
say that.
I think
That's all.
it's fair to do that. The thing about Sunday morning service, a lot of times, is somebody's looking for the service the talk to elevate, walking out the door. Somebody said one time that he was sharing that I'd given a talk. I'd given a talk that Sunday, and he went to an AA meeting, and he said, told one of his friends, he said, I just heard the best talk this morning at church. And the man said to him, well, what did the minister say? And he said, I don't remember, but I sure felt good when I left, And I think that's the objective of a Sunday morning. Going to class is a whole different thing. Would you not agree with that? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the energy, right?
Yeah.
So it's even, for me, it's just entering into the energy. So in the mornings, what I do, when I do my prayers, I light a candle. I have a candle on my dinner table, and so I light the candle and I pray. And it's just, for me, it's just entering into that energy, because what I notice for me is when I'm in front of people, I'm kind of like, I hold myself back. And what I notice also is when I pray in Spanish, it's a lot more fluid. It's a lot deeper for me than in Spanish. I had a meeting this past week, and one of the participants was a woman, a practitioner studying for ministry in Peru. And she says, well, I want to pray. And I said, well, would you like me to translate? And somebody says, no, you don't need to translate. It's the energy. It's the energy of the prayer. It's not the words. It's just the energy that you bring into the healing knowingness that this is already done.
Dr. Craig Carter, who was a contemporary of Ernest Holmes, in one of he wrote 2 little books, and they're both out of print now, but you could pay $867 on Amazon if you want one of them. But it's so interesting that a friend of mine cleaned out all of her stuff. She was moving into an assisted living facility, and before she has Alzheimer's now, and she's completely taken care of in the facility where she lives. But when she was still coherent and could converse, she asked me if I wanted her books. Guess which 2 books were in her stuff? The 2 Craig Carter books. I started crying when she brought them to me, and she said, why are you crying? I couldn't talk for a couple of minutes, but Craig Carter said in one of those books, he said, and they're both on treatment, by the way, he said, God does not hear the words necessarily. God hears the feeling behind the words. So that Mirna could get up on a Sunday morning and do a complete opening treatment or a closing treatment in Spanish, and it wouldn't make any difference because, like you said, it's the energy of it that's behind it. The other thing I wanted to mention too about Emma Curtis Hopkins, in one of her books, she said when the students were in class, she would make them, and I embrace this totally and completely in practitioner training. I would say we would meet in Sparks Hall, and sometimes we wax spiritual and we go, there's one power, one presence, one divine idea in the universe. Now that, okay, I would say to her, go to the kitchen and do that treatment so everybody in the class can hear that treatment. Emma Curtis Hopkins said, use your voice. Use your voice as though you were having a conversation with God. And silent treatment is fine when you don't want to embarrass yourself in Macy's. But when you're on your own, it's like, is this how you would talk to your friend if you were having a conversation with her. This is how we talk to God, and to use your voice and create an energy around it. You haven't lived until you see Dr. David Walker, where he talks about people who are spiritual, too spiritual to be trusted, he would say. Silly, yes. Okay, Mary Jane.
There's quite a few things in here that are really interesting. The one, healing, the second paragraph, healing is not creating a perfect idea or a perfect body. It is revealing an idea which is already perfect. Healing is not a process, it is revelation. I really need to be reminded of that continually. You know, like I was reading something the other day about Buddhists, they were saying about turning inward. And the book said, you don't turn. You just be, and it's revealed. You know, you're open to the revelation. You don't have to take any action. And that's what this is saying. It's being revealed. And then with that, right further down, in the next paragraph, we continue to do this until something comes into our consciousness which says yes. Yeah. Do you have an experience of feeling like?
It's hair-raising.
Yeah?
I'm going to tell you, it's like I would be in the middle of a treatment and I could feel the God bumps starting to come up. And then it's almost psychedelic, being a child of the 60s, I can say that out loud. But it's almost psychedelic to where you see rain, you're speaking, but in my mind's eye I can see like magenta and purple and lime green and canary yellow. And it's such a moment of connection for me as a practitioner. And it isn't always like that. I'm just going to say that out loud too. It is not always like that. Because sometimes I have to be my own practitioner before I see somebody. And I have a little card that I give all the practitioners what Ernest Holmes used to say before he would see a client. And it's basically what he said in there is everything I need to know I already have at my disposal before I see this person, and that everything that is said during this time together is said because it is intended to be heard. You know, it's kind of like God listening to God and God speaking to God in a spiritual mind treatment. So, yeah, there used to be a catchphrase, there's nothing to be healed, there is only something to be revealed.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, you can have it. We'll give it to you. Anybody else? Why is this?
In the beginning, you mentioned that these readings
Yes?
are related to the Gita book.
Well,
Because I started reading the book.
This book, if I don't know whose book this is. It doesn't have a name in it. But I would love for you to see this book, because clearly Scott knew exactly what I was talking about. This book, at the beginning of every chapter, there's a piece quoted from, what's the name of the poem? No, Ernest's. Arjuna? No, Arjuna is one of the characters in the Bhagavad Gita. Wait a minute. You know, this is really weird. I can see the book. It's white with blue letters on it, but they're not coming to my consciousness right now. But what's at the beginning of every chapter is a couple of paragraphs from the epic poem that Ernest Holmes wrote that was an interpretation of the science of mind interpretation of the Bhagavad Gita. So I'm going to give this book to you to take home.
Oh, thank you.
All right, good. So what was the point of asking the question, or what?
Well, the thing is that this book, the Gita book, was written like 5,000 years ago.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And I was able to compare it to other religions, and it's almost kind of like the same thing. It's like devotion and
Yeah,
chanting and
yeah.
healing and all those things. But this is kind of like the original, the beginning of religions, because it was written like a long time ago. And then really, I just started reading the book, barely, But
So it's interesting to me that many of the sort of born-again evangelical Christians think that Christianity or religion started 2,000 years ago with Jesus. But when I explored the idea of the virgin birth, I found 16 separate mythic stories about the virgin birth that came way, way far beyond. I mean, way, a long time ago, before Jesus walked on earth.
So that's one of the things, when you talk about new thought, it's not new. We're just learning to recognize it right now, but it's the process of humanity. Spirit, it's always been there. It's not separate, so.
Yeah, get in the microphone.
I mean, this is just, I was with my grandson today who just started, for the first time, he's in 5th grade, going to a Catholic school. And I picked him up and we were talking about it, and I said, yes, I was raised a Catholic. And he said, but I don't do it anymore. And he said, well, why not? And I said, because I really want to study all religions. I want to get just a little bit of something of all religions. And he, okay. But, I mean, that's why I'm not a Catholic anymore.
So is it a Jesuit school?
I don't know. It's St. Bede's the Venerable.
That
The
was
venerable.
I said Freudian slip.
I know.
There
I said
was
to
one.
James, I said, do you know what venerable means? And I don't even know what it means, kind of, sort of, but I sort of do. And I said, well, we'll look it up later, but we
When
didn't.
you venerate someone, you idolize
Right,
them,
right,
basically, is
right,
what it is.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Does anybody know that church?
That's
By
true.
any chance? No.
I
Saint
saw the name
St. Bede's.
in something that I was looking at just
It's in-
recently, and I thought, I need to look that up.
Right, it's
I've
in
never
La
heard of that
Cañada.
person.
It's in La Cañada.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
I never.
It's interesting. My brother went to a Jesuit Catholic school.
Loyola.
Junior high and high school in Santa Rosa. Those Jesuits, they got it all. I mean, I was in first year class, science mind class in Simi Valley with a guy named John who was a priest in seminary going into the priesthood. And he thought that he had died and gone to heaven in finding the science of mind. So there's a priest out there who's teaching the science of mind as it works. Ernest Holmes said it works with all religions.
Right. Well,
All
and Father
religions.
Boyle, the
Yes.
hero, who is totally a hero, he is a Jesuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. And he's one of the great, we're so lucky he's in Los Angeles.
Yes.
But if you listen to the talks though, and you read what he writes about, is very Father Boyle is very similar to Science of Mind. Yeah.
It's all about love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, Dave DeLuca, when he studied, Sri Aurobindo, Ramakrishna, who's the one before Ramakrishna? He was at the Parliament of World Religions in 1893, the very first one. And Dave said, when he spoke, he said, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the ladies were consigned to the balcony, and none of the speakers prior to him had acknowledged the women's presence there. 1893, mind you. And you could hear a pin drop in the room because he wanted everybody to know that if it weren't for the women, none of the rest of us would be there. You know, it was quite an amazing story he told. You remember Dave DeLuca? He came here and talked several times when I was here.
I remember the guy from India who came to the world, and I can't remember, you know his name?
Aman Matwani?
No, it's begins with the V. Vivekananda.
Vivekananda is who I'm talking about.
Right, and he-
Thank you.
He didn't know, he was sent here, and he stood on a corner in Chicago, and he had no idea why he was there, and these women came up to him and said, "Oh, you must be."
That was where he did that,
Right,
yeah,
the, what, you know, for world religion,
yeah.
right. Oh.
Boo. Sorry.
I saw the red
Vivekananda.
light and I wasn't sure what that, I wasn't sure what that meant. Anyway, okay, well, anything else? Come on, who hasn't contributed here? Yes.
So, when towards the end there, where it says the reality of good, what is good, and what makes that a reality?
Okay, what's the whole sentence?
Oh, it is the mental conviction. It's the last paragraph. The combination of the mental techniques and the spirit, which establishes a faith and a conviction in the reality of good. Now,
Well-
good is, so because we're in duality, as soon as we step into there, we're talking healing as opposed to illness. We are talking God as opposed to not God. So good as opposed to
In the human
not.
experience, let's talk about it from that perspective. We
Okay.
live in the pairs of opposites, good, bad, right, wrong, up, down.
I would say that, except that's exactly how we say, oh, but I'm okay to be sick because I live in this world.
Yeah, well, that might be avoidance. But the reality of good, what would that look like? See, it's going to be different for all of us.
It is.
Yes.
So it is, absolutely, but if we're convicted, if we're stuck in that conviction of a definition, of a mental construct that we have in our mind of what good is, we're also giving ourselves that same mental construct of the opposite.
Yes, but that's the byproduct of the human experience. At the level of spirit, there is good and only good. There is God and only God.
Right, which includes everything that we think of as bad.
Yes.
And everything that we think of, and that's where I was getting, because it kind of, when you're going through this and you're praying for something, or if you think that there's something that you're praying for, are you actually praying for something? Or are you saying, you know what, hey, I just need to recognize God? And without even the name, because as soon as I put a name on it, now I put all the characteristics of the good and the holy. And
Praying for something is a more traditional religious concept. Because so much of the science of mind sometimes feels a little abstract, that if I wrap my head around, I'm not praying for something. I am treating for the realization of wholeness, however that looks. And I notice a little bit recently where some of our practitioners are treating at the level of effect. We don't do that. We are cause to our own effect, right?
Yes.
So we don't want to treat at the level of effect. We want to treat the consciousness that created the effect.
Right.
You know, the errant thinking, all the stuff that, you know, we can make stuff up about, you know, in our lives. So it's a little different than praying for something, because, you know, I always look at God as the palm of my hand. And I pray for something, I've got something in mind, one thing in mind, the way it's supposed to turn out. What I want to have happen is the one thing. I want this one thing. And if I look at it differently, there's 4 other things that might be equally as good or even the best for me, which is what Ernest Holmes talks about it as our having a superlative life experience, the best life. And that's different for every person here. You know, your best may be totally different from my best. And yet that's the beauty of living the human experience.
part of it's the confusion just in words.
Of
as far
course.
and so when I'm reading that, I'm like, I'm probably going to come at it from more of a Taoist perspective, which is not, there isn't that good and the bad. There is just this wheel of everything. And it's when I start labeling and when I start giving it that definition that I create my own hell and I create discomfort or I create comfort. And it's part of the experience, absolutely right. But sometimes when we get really, the experience is the experience. And we don't want to avoid the experience. And yet, do we stay aloof from the experience by saying it's not a reality? Or
So I'm going to throw a zinger at you.
Oh, awesome.
Ernest Holmes says we don't create anything. We discover and use a principle which in and of itself is unlimited.
Is on what?
Unlimited.
Oh,
We discover and use a principle which in and of itself is unlimited. He says that we do not create anything. But what we do is we discover a principle which in and of itself is unlimited. So that it's like it's like a giant box of ideas, of stuff, of principles, of whatever. You know, sometimes I think to myself, I could go back to square one. If I thought to myself, if I had known about the science of mind when I was 15 or 16, like my granddaughter does, she has an expectation of good in her life. My kids are the same way. You know, one time their dad was sick, and Nathan came into the master bedroom to go to the bathroom, and his dad said, "Get out of here." He goes, "You're going to catch what I have." And Nathan was like 6, and he goes, "Dad, that's not in my consciousness." And his dad looks at him and says, "It's not in my consciousness either. It's in my throat, it's in my bones, it's in my," you know. He wasn't a really good religious scientist. He wasn't a religious scientist at all. Mary Jane, use the microphone.
What he's just saying is, and what you just said is what this one line says in the second paragraph that we were referring to earlier. Healing is not creating a perfect idea or a perfect body. It is revealing an idea which is already perfect.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
That's good for me.
Good
That works
you.
for me.
Keep that.
Yeah.
Keep that piece of paper then. Carlton, do you have something to add? Because we're coming down to the end.
Sure. So what Scott was speaking to around good, first of all, as a metaphysician, we get in trouble when we're talking about measurement, right? So, and the way that I do that, the way that I use good is I put that capital G on good. And there's the idea of good. So my favorite principle would be God is an ever-evolving, ever-evolving, ever-expanding, harmonious good. The idea of what Mary Jane just spoke to as far as there is no healing, right? It's only the truth being revealed. So the good is already there. Our human construction puts the measurement on it, which says it's good, bad, or ugly. But what is true is that we are more than any circumstance, more than any condition, more than any diagnosis, right? So that, and in our wholeness, beyond, again, our human experience, what we're moving towards, we have no idea what, because we call it disease or a diagnosis, there is still a transpiring of good that is taking place always. So there's that. And there's so much we could continue for another hour. But the idea of what was I going to speak to? I lost my train of thought. I think that's enough right now.
Okay. Mirna,
Yeah, there was something else.
what do you think?
You know, I was at the airport in Guadalajara, and I was really frustrated with my suitcase. And Scott got me this beautiful suitcase, and it got broken on the way there. So on the way back, I didn't want to put it in there, and I was walking because I have to do my steps. And so I was walking at the airport. Scott wasn't feeling well. And as I was walking, something said to me, "You're talking about consciousness." And it's exactly to what we're talking about. So it's the expectation of what I want to create or what I want to unfold in my life. My consciousness is ahead of. So if I'm going to be worried about something, then I'm going to make it happen. So I look ahead, and in my mind, I see only divine perfection, whatever that may be. I don't have an attachment to whatever. It is what it is, and it's like Reverend Maureen said, unlimited. The only limit that we have is the one that we set in mind. Everything else is just always unfolding in divine perfection. Or in divine perfection, because for me, it's my own divinity. It's not separate from who I am, right? God is within me. God is not out there somewhere. So when I enter into that space, you know, we have all sorts of people calling because they need prayer right now. And for me, it's like, I just know the perfection of the person. I see that. I feel it. That's what I see. It's, you know, the long prayers that some people put on the feeds and all the stuff that they say about it. What is the truth of being, right? So as a practitioner, we're taught that we see the divinity in individual, not whatever else is going around. Right. Because there is a lot of stuff going around, but do I want to concentrate on that, or do I want to concentrate on my own divinity, creating the consciousness of perfection, yes, in whatever it is?
Yes. That's exactly, thank you, because that is exactly what jogged my memory. So about praying for, right? So we're not praying for the outcome. We're not praying for something. We're praying from that which is already is. Yes. We're praying from our own divinity, knowing wholeness beyond appearance. So that's the whole different vibration in tweaking that for. We're praying from that truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That's a good, thank you, Beverly.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I've been reading that last paragraph. Spiritual mind practice is a combination of mental technique and spiritual consciousness, which establishes a faith, because what you just described, it establishes that faith and that belief, that experience, and the conviction in the reality of good. Because then it is the faith and the reality of that good.
Remember in first year?
Again and
It
again.
was always about parking spaces, princesses, huh?
Getting a car.
And, well, yeah, getting a car. But that was such a funny demonstration. It's like this person wanted me to treat for a car for her. So, you know, treating, okay, at the effect, but that mostly it's about the freedom to get from point A to point B. It doesn't really have anything to do with the car. And she came in and she was so mad because she did get a new car. But it was a 1961 Ford Fairlane with the roof falling down on the inside of the car. You know, and we laughed so hard about that because it was like, well, it was new to her, you know, so it's funny how we think this is supposed to work, and yet, you know, we can know what, we can know even when, but we have to realize unequivocally the how is up to God. The how is up to God. So we are complete for the evening. Would you like to close us out with the treatment? Yes?
Yes.
Quickly, thank you all for being here tonight. This has been rousing. And I really highly recommend this book even as a read. You know, I taught the class a couple of years ago here, had the most people in class we've had for a long, long time. It was after the pandemic. So there you go. All righty.
All right, so I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath and just, wow, just center in whatever this conversation has been, and just take it home with you and into tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, because I know that God is all there is, and that this energy, that it's always unfolding, it's perfect. Whatever it may be, it's just the perfection of God showing us, let it go, let it unfold. And so I know that this was the perfect place for me to be tonight. So thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for all of those amazing people that are maybe watching us online, and for the people that are here right now, for the help that we have, for Scott driving me here, for the idea that God is in every detail, not just of life, but of this unending space of divine perfection, of consciousness unfolding, always, always unfolding for my good, for our good. And so I release my word knowing that I take this energy with me for tonight and for tomorrow and for the next day and the next day. And I just say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for this divine idea of science of mind, of becoming a minister, of studying, of everything that has happened before this moment. And I release my word in deep gratitude, knowing that the Lord always says, yes, my beloved. And we all say, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you. I have a present for everybody. You take two, one for yourself and one to give away. This is The Golden Key by Emmett Fox, a sweet little book. Yeah, we do. So it's now they're in there. I realize there's a whole bunch in there that
That would be a nice gift someday.
it would, wouldn't it?
Yes, from our new minister.
Yes. We could actually clean out the cupboard a little bit.